What's going on, everyone? In this video, we're going to be talking about Robo Advisors, what they are, my experience with them, and depending on what type of investment you're looking for, whether they're right for you or not. Anyways, let's get into it. For those of you that don't know, a Robo Advisor defined here is a computer algorithm and advanced software used to build and manage your investment portfolio. Services range from automatic rebalancing to tax optimization and require little to no human interaction, but many providers have human advisors available for questions. So essentially, robo-advisors are a great way to manage your wealth with a hands-off approach. Let's say you have $5,000 sitting in the bank account and you don't know how to invest and you don't have the time to learn how to get into investing, but you do still want to beat inflation with that $5,000 amount. So you want to invest it without really knowing how to invest. And you don't want to pay the expensive fees of an actual advisor. So that's sort of where robo-advisors come in, because they provide a great alternative option. So if you search robo-advising on your phone looking for an advisor, you're going to come across a lot of options. Three of the most popular options that I've seen are Acorns, Wealthfront, and Betterment. So here's just a page to help us compare the differences between the three of them. Betterment, as you can see, has no minimum investment, and Acorns doesn't have a minimum investment as well. Wealthfront, on the other hand, does have a $500 minimum investment. Betterment and Wealthfront both have management fees of 0.25% of your account value, while Acorns has a $1, $2, or $3 a month management fee. I think the biggest thing to note between all three of these companies is that Acorns does not have tax loss harvesting, and the asset management for Betterment and Wealthfront is significantly greater than Acorns. For those of you that don't know, tax harvesting is defined as the practice of selling a security that has experienced a loss. By realizing or harvesting a loss, investors are able to offset taxes on both gains and incomes. The sold security is replaced by a similar one, maintaining an optimal asset allocation expected return. Essentially, what that means is that the robo-advisor is able to mark it as a loss, which means that you could have lower taxes and still have the same amount of assets in your account, which is probably one of the best features that I've seen from robo-advisors. So I do recommend that. Acorns, I think, is mainly recommended for college students that don't really know how to save up money, because what it does is, let's say you spend $4.25, round up to $5 and take that 75 cents and invest it into the Acorns app, which is a really cool concept. But if you're looking for a simple robo-advisor where you could just have monthly, bi-weekly, or weekly deposits, or just deposit one time and leave it alone, I think Betterment and Wealthfront are the better of the three, just because it has a lot more assets under management. Speaking of assets under management, I think that's a very important thing to look at, just because when you're dealing with a new company, when you're dealing with somebody who might not have as much credibility as some of the bigger name advisors, I think it's important to look at the amount of assets they have under management, because that gives you a better idea of how trustable and dependable they might be. So as you can see on this website, these are the top robo-advisors with the most assets under management. Number one, we have Vanguard Personal Advisor Services, which manages $115 billion. Schwab comes in at second with $37 billion. Betterment is at third with $16 billion. Wealthfront is at four with $11 billion, and Personal Capital is at fifth with $8.5 billion. So in my opinion, any of these are trustable when it comes to robo-advising. I would stay away from Acorns, just because it doesn't have as much experience as some of these bigger name companies. And when you're getting into something that might have risk involved, I would go with the safer option. I personally used Wealthfront. Like I mentioned before, at the time, I had some money aside, but I had no time to really get into knowing how to invest. But I didn't want that money to just sit and deflate over time. So what I did was I put it into the Wealthfront account and I just left it alone. I have left it there for about 2 years. And later on in the video, I'm going to show you guys the progress my account has made, as well as go into the detail about what the account looks like. But before I dive into whether I recommend Wealthfront or not, I do want to make clear that I don't get sponsored or paid by Wealthfront. This is simply me sharing my experience with you. But anyways, when I was deciding, the reason I decided to go with Wealthfront as opposed to the other two is because Wealthfront manages your first $5,000 for free, which I thought was incredible because I didn't have more than $5,000 at the time to invest. And if I didn't have to pay a 0.25% fee, I was all about it. So anyways, the way it works is when you first decide to go on the website and make an account, so let's say you make an account with Wealthfront, what they'll ask you to do is give you a questionnaire which will determine the amount of risk your account will be willing to take. So for example, what is your primary reason for opening an account? Long-term investing. What is your birthday? I'm just gonna put in a random year right now. What is your annual pre-tax income? So we'll say 0. What is the total value of your cash and liquid investments? That includes savings. So we'll say you have $5,000 to invest. When deciding how to invest your money, which do you care about more? Both equally. The global stock market is often volatile. If your entire investment portfolio lost 10% of its value in a month during a market decline, what would you do? Your behavior during a market downturn is important to understanding your risk tolerance. So my answer to this is actually based off of something Warren Buffett's strategy usually says, which is if everyone around you is super excited and super happy, you should be very nervous and look out for disaster coming ahead. And if everyone around you is super sad and the market's just gone down, you should be extremely happy, and that's when you should be buying more stocks. So based off of that philosophy, I'm going to say we will buy more stocks during a market decline. And then that's all. There was only 4 or 5 questions, and that gives you your risk score. Your risk score is out of a 10, and it gives me an 8.5. It also gives you a pretty extensive breakdown of where your investments are going to be invested in. So you have US stocks making up about 35% of the allocation, foreign stocks making up about 26% of the allocation, emerging markets making up 17% of the allocation, dividend stocks making up 8% of the allocation, and municipal bonds making up 14% of the allocation. Something cool that you can do is play around with your risk score to see what the different allocations would be. So let's say with an 8, municipal bonds increases, foreign stocks decrease, and that seems to be the trend as you lower your risk score, and the opposite tends to be true when you higher your risk score. So anyways, once you've taken your Wealthfront or Betterment questionnaire, it'll redirect you to your account. And once you're in your account, what you'll have is this really cool graphic that shows you, depending on how much you plan to save every month, what your portfolio is going to be looking like when you decide to retire. And the cool thing about that is you could also add major purchases or things you're going to have to be spending a lot of money on. I think it's honestly really cool because it shows you, depending on how much you plan on spending after retirement and when you plan on retire, how much money you'll have saved, as well as how much money you'll need for the rest of your life. You can have a lot of different accounts on this as well. Personally, I have my personal investment account and my Roth IRA on here right now. And I'll show you guys what my personal investment account looks like right now. I've had the account for about 2.5 years. I started in October 2016 and July 2019. As you can see, these little marks over here are every time I've made a deposit. And as you can see, the Robo Advisor doesn't take a large amount of risk as compared to something like Robinhood, where over time, this results in fewer losses and greater gains. So our diversified portfolio has increased to current day about 16.61%, with the portfolio being at $1,542, with the deposits being at $1,300, which may not seem like a lot of money, but you have to keep in mind that I didn't deposit a lot of money to begin with. I have $1,300 in here, and sitting in the bank account, it would generate maybe $1 or $2 of interest. And in just as much of a hands-off approach in Wealthfront, I've generated $242, as well as harvesting $219.90 in tax loss. This shows the return on my US stocks, my foreign stocks, my emerging markets, my dividend stocks, and my municipal bonds over time. So now that I've showed you my account with a robo-advisor and I've told you about the different options you have with robo-advising, do I recommend Wealthfront or not? Over the past 2 years, I've been using Wealthfront and I've been using Robinhood to invest and grow my portfolio. And as you can see by this graph, at one point I did believe that Wealthfront was the best option to go, and I was depositing money monthly. But then as time went along, a lot of my money was withdrawn from my Wealthfront account and deposited into my Robinhood account. And that's primarily because what I learned was that Wealthfront is good if you want a hands-off approach and you just want to leave the money and never look at it again and want it to still grow. But Robinhood is a lot better if you want to experiment, gain some valuable experience with investing, as well as grow your account. So Robo Advisors are not for everyone, but I do believe that there's a specific market of people that Robo Advisors do market to and do make sense for. If you do fall into that category of people that just want hands-off investing and you want your portfolio to grow, but you don't necessarily have the time to invest, I would recommend Wealthfront for it, just because your first $5,000 is managed for free. And if you click the link in the description below, we both get $5,000 additional managed for free, which I think is really cool if you are getting into investing and don't necessarily have a lot of money saved up, just because you don't have to pay a monthly fee, you don't have to pay the 0.25%, and you could still have your money managed by a professional and have it grow over time. So anyways, if you found this video helpful, please be sure to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more videos about personal finance. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.